Line's good.
Never on.
Whoa.
Hard. Hardly.
Come on, Brent.
Line's good.
Got real close.
I hear high, right?
Try and hit 2/3.
Have they saved it for her? Yes, they have.
Ooh, welcome to Game of Stones, everybody. I am Sean Graham Scott, alongside, as always, hello, Scott.
Sean, what's up? Long time no talk. How you been?
Been doing pretty good. Been
Yeah.
doing a little traveling here and there. We both have. We happen to be in the same spot at the same time for part of that travel, but from the World Curling Championships out in Las Vegas, headed across the pond for a wee while. Saw you at a couple locations there. Just returned back from beautiful Madrid, and was excited to talk about a little curling, Scott.
Yeah. Did you get the curling itch in Spain? Is the anticipation for the World Mixed Doubles palpable? Can you feel it in Madrid?
Well, I did mention it to a couple of the people who we met over there, and the responses were, very, very energetic, very exciting, very curious about what I was talking about and what curling was. So I don't know if it's quite made the inroads there in Spain as perhaps some other sports, but I did my part by spreading the gospel of curling to my tour guides.
Very good. I like that. I like to hear that. So yeah, let's get into it. We haven't talked curling in a while. What's up first?
So a lot going on. The last time we talked, Scott, was a preview of the Men's World Curling Championship, which of course was going on in Las Vegas. I was out there. The last episode we released was a compilation of some of the audio that I was able to collect from the players out there in Las Vegas. But we have not talked about Niklas Edin winning his fourth consecutive Men's World Curling Championship, 6th overall. Scott, we did talk about it when we saw each other ever so briefly, but how would you summarize Nick Edin winning? Where does this put him potentially in the pantheon of all-time greats?
Well, he's got to be the GOAT, right? That's the most of anyone ever in an era in which it's harder than ever to win. So hats off to him and to his team. And, he's done it with two separate teams. Seems to me even more impressive. So yeah, greatest of all time.
Yeah, it is hard to argue that at this point, given that he now has the gold medal. I think the gold medal was necessary for him in the course of that discussion. So the fact that he now has that following the Olympics in Beijing, that certainly does really just polish up the resume. There is some discussion, I don't know how valid it is, about his, I think Colin used the word curious. I think that's fair. Curious record in the Grand Slams, that he has 3, all of which in the same season. So he doesn't have a stellar record in the slams. I think Christopher Sundgren replied to that tweet saying, yeah, we get up for the biggest events, which, okay, fair enough. And the other thing too, is that the slams, I think because they're shorter, and for so many years it was a 4-game round robin within pools. This year they've gotten away from that entirely, but for so long that's what each event essentially was, that there's a lot more randomness there. Whereas at a World Championship, where in the past I think it was 12 teams, I think every time he's been there it's been at least 12 teams with an 11-game round robin. Now of course it's more than that. There's just less margin there for random things to happen. The longer the event is, the better teams are going to rise to the top. Whereas at the slams, the formats just allows for a little more randomness than we might see at some of the longer events. So that could account a little bit for it. Plus, as potentially Sundgren was saying, that they built their schedule to peak around Euros, Worlds.
Yeah, and like you say, it is totally random, and that one game that you lose against a really good team, or you just have a bad game and you don't win. And so it's not like these other events where it's a round robin against every team. You get a chance to play a lot of games, and over the course of more games, the better teams will rise to the top. Whereas in a shorter format, like we have with the Grand Slams, it's more of a crapshoot. And I think we see that in the results.
Yeah, and over the course of the longer event, you get a better sense of what the ice is doing. You can read it more effectively. Again, with the slams, not as long to get as used to the ice. And the rocks, hey, that brings us to Brad Gushue, ice and rocks. Scott, Brad Gushue, the silver medal. So it's hard to say that Brad Gushue had a bad season because he didn't have a bad season. He has an Olympic medal and he has a silver medal from the World Championship this year. That's a good season, I think, by any accounts. But in both cases, Brad Gushue was not complimentary of the ice conditions. I don't know what to make of this, but what did you think of his play and then his discussion of the conditions afterwards?
So, Sean, is this where you splice in that fun audio we made in when we were away?
Yeah, I'll splice that in. Okay. So this is Scott's immediate reaction after the final.
Well, Sean, if there was any question as to who is the best team over this last 4 years, it's got to be answered by that win in Las Vegas. I know Brad Gushue was talking about the ice, saying, "Oh, this is no good," but like you went 10-2 on that ice. Chill out a bit. So Niklas Edin beat you. He could have beat you on good ice. He has beaten you on good ice. Just give him a tip of the cap and say that for now, he is the Swedish king. All right, so I stand by most of what I said there. Bad rocks and bad ice that happens. I'll tell you though, Sean, I'm much more sympathetic to Brad Gushue after playing Monday night at the Ottawa Curling Club, where they just retouched the rocks and I had no idea what the hell was going on. My split times, on my split time, I threw one rock harder than one that went through and it ended up short of the house. So, when you're guessing, it's not fun. So I understand that a little better now after having had that experience. But at the same time, like you played all week and you were the two best teams. Everybody knew that it was going to be you in the finals. We joked sort of that we could have recorded our summary podcast in the middle of the week when we saw each other just to get it out. But cut together one version where it was Edin winning, cut together another where it was Gushue, and we'd be fine.
Yeah. Well, I talked to as many players as I could, as you heard on that episode, if you listen to it. And I think it's relevant. Even if you haven't listened to it yet, go back. It's not specific to what happened in one game. I think there's a lot of general stuff there. So I would encourage you to go listen to it if you haven't yet. But I only asked two teams the question of what would this mean to win. And it was those two teams because I didn't think anybody else could win. And I didn't want to waste their time with that question, to be honest. And I didn't want to be insulting to be like, playing for third place? Yeah.
Yeah. Fair enough. It was a good, bronze medal there for the boys from Italy.
Yeah.
Sean, I'll note that I picked all of the playoff teams correctly.
Well done.
So I gained a couple points on you in our standings.
Okay.
But yeah, I think you're right. There was those two teams playing for first, and if everybody who was watching didn't know it, I think everybody that was playing in it probably knew it.
Yeah, and everyone sort of knew that they were the favorites. That was going to be the big game when they played each other during the week. Everyone had their eyes on those two teams. The only thing I really didn't like about what Brad Gushue said after the final is when he said that essentially it was just a coin toss. Each throw was a coin toss, and it came up heads more than Niklas Edin. I don't like that part of it because it kind of discounts the fact that they beat you, right? And it was the first thing too. And if you look at the tweet that the team put out after, it was the first half of it was the conditions sucked. The second half was congrats, Niklas Edin. Flip that. Yeah. Just flip it. And they won. They beat you, and that's fine. It's like there's nothing wrong with losing to that team. So I wasn't crazy about that in terms of the messaging that came out after it, but that is what it is. As we say, Niklas Edin, 6 World Championships, 4 straight. I had the chance to ask, as I said, Oskar Eriksson and Niklas Edin what it would mean for this team to cap off a remarkable season for them with a World Championship. So let's hear what they had to say out in Las Vegas. First, we'll hear from Oskar Eriksson, then Niklas Edin.
That would be huge. We know it's so much fun to win the championship, so that's the goal here. Canada is one of the toughest opponents here for sure, and then Switzerland have a good team. US, Italy can always be strong. Norway, so and then a couple of Asian teams as well. So it's going to be a tough week to get as many wins as we need to get to the playoffs first, and then be as good as we can in the playoff games. So yeah, it would mean a lot to win it.
That would mean a lot. Definitely keeping the streak alive. Also, we're on 3 straight wins, so we're doing something for the history books. If we can win one more, it would be super special, especially this year, having won the Olympics. And now we can kind of not focus so much on results, but this one still feels very big in terms of our careers and legacies. So definitely gonna play as well as we can and try to win another one.
So Scott, clearly they were gunning for it. This was something they wanted. They openly talked about going for the 4 straight. It meant something to them. So for any discussion that may have had, potentially that even we had, of they won the gold medal, they were not going to be motivated. Obviously not. That was a clear focus for them over the course of the week. So congratulations to them. Unfortunate that Christopher Sundgren was injured and couldn't participate in the entirety of the event, and then couldn't participate in the slam afterwards. But that is a foursome that, as we talked about earlier, going to be right up there when you do any sort of rankings of the all-time greatest teams.
Yeah, in 10 years when we do our best teams of the 2010s and 2020s, I think they'll be in that discussion for sure.
Yeah, and Brad Gushu said too during the week that he thinks his team might be the best ever in terms of longevity and the success that they had. I don't know. I think Brad Gushu gave us a summer episode idea. So thank you, Brad Gushu. But that's something we'll have to delve into a little more. So there you have it. Just a bit of a summary there from the Men's World Championship. Anything else, Scott, that struck you from the week that was?
Not too much else. No, I guess we could touch a little bit on the crowds or lack thereof in Las Vegas. Is a full 9-day event the kind of thing that Las Vegas can sustain, or is a short event like a slam or a Continental Cup better suited to Vegas? I would argue that yes, those 2 shorter events are. People always say, you go to Vegas for a weekend and you spend, a month there. So and doing it in April too, when the people that usually come to support those events, I think I saw this in a piece by Greg Strong or somebody else, that it's farmers, right, that come down from Canada predominantly, and they're kind of busy with other stuff in April and can't take the time, right? So when you put it in January, you're going to get a better crowd and better support for that kind of an event.
Yeah, I think the other constituency too, and I don't know I can't remember if Strong talked about it in his piece, because I did read that, it was quite good, is the number of snowbirds who, Phoenix is not that far away from Las Vegas, who have come over. We've met people when we've been down there who are snowbirds who either are coming over, or that's how they started their winter. Like they wait until after Christmas, then okay, Continental Cup, that's when we'll go down and head over to Phoenix. So you have those people who might not be there in April as well. I agree, 9 days is a long time in Vegas. It really is a weekend town. And like I said, I was going through my credit card bill. I got home last night, and so I was going through it. I not only did I see one charge, I was like, what is that? I Googled what it was, and I still couldn't figure out. It wasn't. And then it took me about 10 minutes to realize, oh yes, I did go there, and this is the amount of money I spent. But like, you just forget some stuff when you're in Las Vegas. So it's tough. I'm curious to see if the slam, it was scheduled to have a slam there. The Open was scheduled in January 2021. I'd be curious to see if they try to go back with the slam. Is that as successful as the Continental Cup has been? That'll be a curious one to see. But it's a wonderful venue for curling. The staff at the Orleans is great. The people who they get to volunteer are amazing. The guy who's doing the media for the draws that I was at, from Seattle, never played in his life, but just fell onto the sport and loved it. And he comes down whenever the event's in Vegas. And so it's cool to meet folks like that when you're down there. It's certainly a different vibe from the Canadian events. And hopefully that the market hasn't quite been fully saturated. And the other thing too is COVID's still a thing, and you still need a negative test to fly into the United States. That's still a thing. Vaccination requirements in order to get into the United States from a different country. So there are things that are in place that could have limited travel. Plus, you got to make your arrangements in at least probably January, February for most people. January and February wasn't the greatest of times relative to COVID. So, a lot of factors there. Maybe it was optimistic to go back to Vegas, but the past 2 years have been full of optimistic pronouncements by sports organizations around the world. So I'm not going to be too hard on the World Curling Federation for that. But as you can see from the images, there were plenty of good seats available at the Orleans Arena through the course of the week.
Easy to social distance there.
Yeah, there was no difficulty there at all. I will say one other thing, though. They did not have the traditional patch, which is fine. They had like an outdoor thing. The individual who MCs that was there. So I didn't spend a lot of time at the patch because but one of the things that they didn't do was the autograph signings, the meet and greet with players, which is fair enough because they wanted to keep the players isolated. They didn't want COVID to get into the player pool, which totally understandable. Yet, multiple times when I was there, players from teams that were not playing were in the stands unmasked. So they weren't doing the official meet and greet stuff, but they also there's boxes at the Orleans. Just give each team a box and just do something. I was so confused of we're gonna keep all the players isolated from the fans, and then they're just sitting there in and amongst the fans. What are we doing? So that was a little strange to me, but overall, it seemed like a good event, pretty well run, and certainly from my perspective, I had a good time whilst I was there.
Good.
All right, let's talk about another event that took place, the Players' Championship. Is that right? That was the one, I think.
Yeah, that was the one.
Yeah, so the Grand Slam of Curling, the event that takes place in Toronto every year. It's the only one really that has a permanent home there at the former Maple Leaf Gardens. It was the last event for a lot of teams because it's harder to, well, not harder. It's the qualification for the Champions Cup is different from the rest of the slams. So a lot of teams, this is the last time you would see them in those configurations. But the two teams who won, probably see them again, as Anna Hasselborg wins on the women's side, Bruce Mouat on the men's side. It was very cool to see from afar that Team Mouat had their family friends there to cheer them on, and they weren't able to be there in Beijing. So it was kind of cool that they all came over, hung out in the Pinty's pub a little bit there. So congrats to them. They defend their title as the Players' champions. On the other side, Anna Hasselborg gets another Grand Slam win. Apparently, this was gives her all 4 majors, which made me look up and say, there's majors. Okay. Apparently there's majors. So congratulations to them. Scott, I was away. You were home by this point. Did you watch any of this? And was it good?
What I wasn't home by the end. I think we had a delay where they put too much fuel on our plane and had to come and take the fuel out.
Oh.
And have you ever known, Sean, or I guess I didn't know this, that once fuel has been put on an airplane, if you want to take it off, it has to be quarantined and put back in the same airplane only. It can't go into another airplane. Yeah. Wow. These things I learned. So anyway, no, we didn't get home in time to watch any of the Players' Championship. So yeah, this one sort of flew under the radar for me. There's like a lot of engagement on our Twitter about, maybe that was early this week, about what is this? Why do we care? This ended up being, this was a triple knockout format, which is different from how they've done the Players' Championship in the past.
It's not.
But
it's not.
It ends up being the same.
It's the same
at the end of the day, right?
It's the exact same. It's a sneaky way. I figured out why they did this, Scott, by the way. And I would very much like somebody from the Grand Slam to confirm this, but they wouldn't because I think it might. I don't know, but because in a pool format, they've always used 3 losses get you out anyway, and 2 losses always got you something. If you were 2-2 in the round robin, you got something. So essentially, it was a triple knockout anyway
Mhm.
until the playoffs. The reason why you go ABC draw is that you will never have a tiebreaker. Whereas in the past, you would always have tiebreakers with teams at 2-2. This format, you don't have tiebreakers. Therefore, it's much easier to schedule. That I'm convinced is why they do this now.
And it's not easier for the teams, right? Because the teams might, be out by Thursday. Although I guess they make it so that they wouldn't be. But yeah, so the teams don't know how much time to schedule.
Yeah.
Anyway, in any event, I think we're going to talk more about the Grand Slams in a summer episode. Dig a little deeper into that.
We got a bunch of summer episode ideas over the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, which is great, right? So I don't have much to say about this. Team Mouat's dominance at these Grand Slam events sort of goes counter to what we were just saying about Niklas Edin, right? And how much of a crapshoot it usually is. To me, that just shows that they are one of the best teams in the world, if not the best.
Mhm.
That they just are like able to beat anybody that's put in front of them on any given day. So that's pretty remarkable. Hasselborg's win was good. Canadians getting shut out of the podium on this. To be honest, in the Grand Slams, it's not uncommon anymore for that to happen. Carrie Anderson was going for a three-peat and lost in the final. So, all those people crying that Canadian curling is, the heavens are falling, whatever. Not really. So, yeah, the team social media seemed fun. Colin Hodgson eating hot dogs at the Blue Jays game,
right,
was pretty fun. That photo made the rounds. So yeah, for the teams to get a chance to like go to Toronto, which they never do because all these events are out west, or in small towns in the east, it's kind of a nice perk for the end of the year.
Yeah, I think so. And that's a cool venue to do it in. It's small enough that they can fill it for the most part. Toronto traditionally isn't the greatest curling sports or curling town for the big events. Like Curling Canada never goes to Toronto because you get drowned out a little bit from all of the various professional teams. So it's nice to have that event there. And as you say, a lot of the players did go to Blue Jays games and were caught on camera. A very unfortunate moment, I thought, for Val Sweeting, that somebody had said something that prompted a very large eye roll when she happened to be on camera. And somebody, God bless them, got the caption of that. And then I was able to cut it out for our friend Sabrina, who isn't the biggest fan of Val Sweeting for weird reasons. So I was able to use that in a bit of a text exchange of this is Val's reaction to your thoughts about her as not supporting the team. But it was cool. Yeah, as you say, it's fun for the teams. Different place that they don't usually see, and a lot to do in Toronto. So congratulations to the winners there. One more Grand Slam on the course of the season, the Champions Cup coming up. And don't get me started on the name of the Champions Cup. If you don't have to be a champion to be there, it's the one like ridiculous argument or one ridiculous perspective that I hold that I actually truly believe in my heart of hearts that like the Champions League and UEFA shouldn't be called the Champions League. The Champions Cup shouldn't be called the Champions Cup because of how you qualify for it. So anyway.
Yeah, fair. There is one sponsors exemption in the Champions Cup too.
So you don't have to be a champion. Don't call it the Champions Cup. Anyway, another summer idea, or that'll come up in the episode where we talk about the slams. Just and in terms of the online stuff, I think it was all good natured. I had fun with it. I don't think anybody was like super negative or super mean about it. And I appreciate Victor Gel reaching out to offer his thoughts on it. So and everyone else who did as well. So for those who agreed with me and those who didn't agree with me, it's all good as we talk about the state of the sport moving forward. So let's talk about the next big events that are going to be taking place, kicking off this weekend. First off, let's talk about the World Mixed Doubles Curling Championship. This is taking place in Geneva, Switzerland from the 23rd of April to the 30th of April. This is a change in the format of the Mixed World Doubles Curling Championship. I think I said that wrong. Now last year I think was like this too, but it's I'm still not used to it, Scott, that it used to be just everybody could be there. It was a bit of a cluster, weird random pools of teams and countries that you don't usually expect to see at curling events. Now they've pared it down. It's a qualification event. Top 20 teams who have qualified are there, divided into 2 pools of 10. Scott, are you excited for the 2022 Mixed Doubles World Championship?
I'm a little bit excited. Yeah, it's the time zone isn't ideal for us, but it's not terrible. I would say it's not as bad as some of the events in the Pacific, Asia Pacific time zones, because we're able to see a couple games a day. But the format is not as interesting to me as if it was crazy, some sort of crazy format like before with 8 pools or 4 pools of 8 or however it was before. I kind of liked having tons of games. I'm excited to see some of these teams. Like you say, these are the teams that we don't always get to see. The Australian team is back from the Olympics and their run, and they're in the same pool as Canada, so that'll be like a fun grudge match kind of thing. Team England is there again. They were fun to watch last year. The US entry, I believe it's Plies and Persinger that won this year, so that could be a fun team to watch.
But they're not there. They won the mixed doubles Olympic qualifier. The mixed doubles American Championship went to the Hamiltons.
Oh, that's right. The Hamiltons did win. I forgot about that. They won just after the Olympics, I think. So yeah, there you go. Whatever, fun team. The Hamiltons as well. So I'm excited for some of these teams. Stefania Constantini is not playing with Amos Massaner, which is a little bit disappointing after their gold medal run. But yeah, I think mixed doubles curling is fun and exciting, and I just wish that it was still available on YouTube for us to watch, because it's just easier. I have the Recast app pinned here to my on my computer, but I don't have my personal computer on all day because I'm working. I have a TV here. It would be easy to just put my YouTube app on and let it go. So that's where I am with it. What about you?
Okay. Yeah, I'm excited as well. I agree. I wish it was still on YouTube as opposed to the Recast for sure. But depending on where you are in the world, there is pretty good coverage, I think, of this. Certainly improved of what it used to be. Like if you look at the broadcast schedule, NHK is going to have, I believe, all of the Japan games. So if you're over there in Japan, you can watch those. Swiss TV is showing a lot of the Swiss games. Peacock and the Olympic Channel with most, if not all, of the United States game. TSN is picking up select Canada games, and that's going to be the full world broadcast of it. It's Vic's not going to be there for that. This is what they did last year as well. So they're picking up some of that. So, around the world, you're getting something, not, it's not as bad as it used to be. So you're going to be able to get that full playoff coverage on TSN and Peacock and the Olympic Channel in Canada and the United States. The final will be on Swiss TV as well. And if Japan is involved, it'll be on NHK, any of those playoff games. So there's something there. It's not great. It's not as good as it could be, but there's something, Scott.
Yeah, there's something. Something is better than nothing. I'll agree.
Yeah. And all right, let's just run through the 2 pools real quick. In Pool A, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, Italy, Japan, Korea, Norway, New Zealand, Switzerland, and Sweden. Pay attention to those bottom 2 teams, I would say, here in Pool A. A lot of good teams here, but Switzerland, it is Alina Patz. She is playing with her real-life partner, which is always kind of a fun dynamic to watch, in Sven Michel. And on Sweden, it's Rasmus Rana playing with his sister Isabella, representing Sweden there. So that should be a lot of fun. Rasmus, of course, coming off that gold medal with Niklas Edin. So those would probably be the 2 favorites there. Anyone else, Scott? I know we mentioned a few teams. I already mentioned Italy, Stefania Constantini, but without Amos Massaner in this event, it's Sebastiano Arman playing the male position for Italy. Who else in this pool might stand out to you to pay attention to?
So Norway is not going to be Skasley and Ned Grotten, as we've seen before. It's going to be Magnus Ramsfell, and I think his sister Maya.
Yeah, I think that's right.
And the Koreans, Kim Min-ji is going to be there with Lee Ki-jeong. So that should be another fun team to watch.
Yep, I agree. That's
on the A pool. I do think the balance of power is probably in Pool B, though.
Yeah, a lot of really good teams over in Pool B. So it is Australia, Canada, the Czech Republic, England, Spain, Germany, Hungary, Scotland, Turkey, and the United States. We mentioned the Hamiltons for the United States. For Scotland, it is the Olympic gold medalist Eve Muirhead playing with Bobby Lamley from Team Mouat. That team is going to be a handful to deal with for everybody else in this pool, to be sure. The Canadians, Jocelyn Peterman, Brett Gallant, they were selected by Curling Canada after the national championship was unable to be played. They have gone before. They were the number one ranked team in the rankings. So we'll see how they do, if they can improve on their previous performance. Elsewhere here, Australia mentioned Tally Gill and Dean Hewitt, the Olympic team for them, and other teams that have had some level of success at the mixed doubles that you might not necessarily expect, right? So if you look at a country like Turkey, for instance, it's Yildiz who's playing. So there's some good teams here, Scott.
Yeah, and the Hungarians are sending the team that won the 2009 World Championship in mixed doubles. Just a sec. 2009. So it's Sakaresh and Nudge that are playing. So they're older. I think they're in their late 40s, early 50s type of thing. So they're not sending the team that we've seen, trying to qualify for the Olympics. So, they a lot of experience. We'll see if that helps them at all. But like I said, this pool is pretty stacked. The English team is really quite good as well. So we should say, I don't know if we mentioned, Sean, top 3 in each pool will advance to the playoffs. The 2 versus 3 crossover game will happen, as we've seen in some other events this year. And the first place teams get buys into the semifinals.
Yeah, and then down at the bottom, you do have the relegation. So the team that finishes last in each pool is out and will have to requalify next year. There will be crossovers for the 8-9 game, or the 8-9 finishers. The 2 losers of that will also have to requalify next year. So a lot to pay attention to at the bottom of the standings, too, as you get later in the week. So good luck to everybody out there in Geneva for the mixed doubles World Championship. Scott, you want to pick a winner? As you said, you made up some points on me in the men's World Curling Championship. So I assume, based on how you phrase that, I still am in the lead?
Yeah, you're still, I think, 2 points ahead of me.
Okay. I like that.
Overall, let me really quick open it and double check, because this is what everybody tunes in for, I know.
Well, I think it's good. We keep each other honest on this, what we get right, what we don't get right. And of course, if you're betting using our picks, maybe reevaluate some of your choices.
Some of your life choices, yeah. Yes, Sean. So after the World Championships, I scored, out of a possible 14 total points in the World Championships. That's 1 for each playoff contender, plus an extra point for picking the winner properly.
Yeah.
I scored 10.
Wow.
And you scored 8.
Not a good score.
On that. So, but based on the strength of your success, or strength of your picks earlier, you do have a 3-point lead on me. 43 points to 40 on the year.
All right. So let's get into this then. Mixed doubles, Scott. Let's do it. Who are your 3 teams from each pool?
Sean, I'm going to need you first to pick, because I can't pick the same as you. You could just have a strategy to pick the same as me.
All right, that's fair. Yeah, that's fair. So give me Switzerland, Sweden in Group A. I think those should be the top two. And I'm going to go with Korea as the third team out of Pool A. Over in Pool B, I will take the Canadians, the Scots, and ooh, this is hard. The third one's hard. This pool's too deep. But let's go with the English.
Okay.
And I will take the Swiss to win because Alina Pats is there and all she does is win world championships. I guess Rasmus Rand is the same, but Alina Pats is thrown last for her team. So I'll lean that way.
That's definitely fair. So, okay, I'm going to take Switzerland, Sweden, and I'm going to pick Norway as the third team from Group A.
Okay.
Give me Canada, give me USA, and do I want to be crazy? This is why I'm losing, is because I'm trying to get crazy. I'm gonna go with the old Hungarians.
Okay, there you go.
For this, and I'm gonna pick Canada to win overall. So,
all right.
That'll be
a lot of bonus points in your household there for those picks.
Yes, here's hoping.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this will be fun. We'll see if I can gain any points on you.
Hopefully not. Hopefully not. So let's talk about the other event that is going on in Geneva at the same time as the mixed doubles. That is the World Senionr Championships are back after a year off. I think only a year off, maybe 2 years off of the World Senior Curling Championships. This is an open event. Any member association in the World Curling Federation can send a team. And as a result, you have a lot more men's teams than women's teams in this event. It is 21 men's teams to 13 women's teams here in the event. So we have pool play here as well. On the men's side, 3 groups of 7. Women's side, you have 1 group of 7, 1 group of 6. On the Canadian side, it is, of course, Sherry Anderson making her return to the World Championship after yet another victory at the Canadians. So we'll see if she can just continue to win World Championships. Wade White is representing Canada on the men's side. Some names that will be familiar to you on both sides. Hugh Milliken representing Australia. Andy Capp representing Germany. The former, I believe, world champion, or certainly a lot of world champion appearances. He did win one?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Okay, good. And from, and some familiar names, Matt Rana from Sweden is skipping, Christoph Schwaller for the Swiss side, Bob Leclerc on the American side. So some names that you might be familiar with, names that I am making connections to. For instance, Carlos Massaner is the 4th thrower for Italy. So I'm just going to make that connection that he might be related to Amos Massaner in some way. Don't know that for sure. Timo Kost is the skip for Finland. Again, a lot of coasts that we see coming out of Finland at the men's and women's level. So you see those familial connections there. On the women's side, you have Margie Smith as the skip for the United States and Swiss Helm, the vice skip. Scott, you said she played with Deb McCormick?
I think so, yeah. But definitely high-level player in the U.S. for a long time.
Yes. So some cool teams, so some folks who you're going to be familiar with. And I also like that, again, some countries that you might not see all the time. Ireland has a team. We never see Ireland at World Championships. So really cool for them to be there. Latvia's there on the women's side. England has a team here on both the men's and women's side. Belgium, you have John Robillard is skipping. Our friend, Jerry Hermans, the vice skip, who is, we've been in touch with him. We've had some back and forth with Jerry before. Fun guy to be in touch with. So it'll be fun to see how they do over there. Fun to see Belgium at a world event. So Nigeria is playing. Tiana Cole, the skip there on the men's side. Slovakia, Turkey. So again, some teams that we don't see all the time playing at the Senior Championships in Geneva. So good luck to the 34 teams in the field.
Should be fun, Sean. Should be fun.
All right.
That's all I got.
That's your contribution. Great. All right. The last thing that we will talk about, Brendan Bottcher announced his new team. Curious though, Scott, I don't recall seeing an announcement from the other Team Bottcher account. I think they missed a step on that one.
That they were not playing together again?
Yeah. Did they make that announcement?
I don't listen to the Inside Curling show all the time, so I might have missed it. It might have been on there.
Okay. Like I don't know, because I saw the announcement and the new Twitter account. I was like, okay, like that's fair enough. And then I looked at the old Twitter account and I looked through it, and never was there a statement that was like, "Oh, we're parting ways," which I thought was a little strange, but whatever. I don't much care. They can do whatever they want, and as long as there's no bad blood, I don't want to see a recreation of what happened in December. That So if all the players are cool, I was just like, wait, isn't there? What? But that team, maybe it's the step. I don't know. And I understand, based on what we know, I understand why the new Twitter account was created. But again, it was curious. Anyway, so the new team is going to be Brendan Bottcher, Mark Kennedy, Brett Gallant, and Ben Hebert. Scott, are they immediately the favorites for all the things?
I think
in
they're
Canada,
the favorites.
in Canada, I should say.
I think they're the favorites in Canada to go to the Olympics, but 4 more years of curling on anyone, it could be tough. Mark and Ben are, I think, my age, maybe a year older, and I start to feel sore from doing nothing. So I don't know. They're all amazing players, amazing shot makers. We'll see how the chemistry is.
Yeah, I think Mark Kennedy is really good at just melding with people. And the thing about Ben Hebert and Brett Gallant as a front end is they are going to be chatty. They're going to have opinions on what to do. Now, Ben Hebert is also very good. It was always good with Kevin Cooey being like, hey, like, there's a clock, right? Like,
yeah, let's
make a decision. Let's go, which is usually the lead's job, is to watch the clock. So, you have that. So I don't think there'll be time issues. It's just a question of the front end on Bottcher's team of Carrick Martin, Brad Thiessen. They didn't really talk that much in terms of the strategy of it. So that'll be a big change. And how does Brendan Bottcher deal with that? And how do they just figure out what the line is between, and every skip is like this, that there's a point at which you need to stop talking and just let them make the decision and throw it. And I'm sure it'll be a feeling out process for them to figure out when that point is, when the discussion, when the offer of strategy opinion is welcome, and when it's not. And that'll be a feeling out process, and that'll be interesting to watch as we see those games, because I'm sure they're going to be on TV a lot.
Yeah, and I'm also sure that Brendan won't be able to collect all the Aeroplan points from their flights going forward. I think that'll be a bit of a different business situation too. So
yeah,
that's all.
Yeah, allegedly.
Yes.
So that was a pretty big announcement, not unexpected. Still some dominoes to fall on the team announcement side of things. Still things to happen. Players who need to figure out what they're going to do. And I think once the season is over, we'll do a bit of a recap of all the teams that have come out. Fun team too. Steve Laycock made an announcement what his team's going to be. Not a team that's going to win a Brier, but a team that could probably win Saskatchewan at this point. So really cool team there. Sean Meacham. I just always love to see Sean Meacham. Just the greatest non-sliding shoe in the history of curling, Sean Meacham. So the team announcements continue to pour out. And as I say, once we get into the early part of the offseason, we'll do a bit of a breakdown of where we think the teams stack up. So anything else, Scott, from the world of curling that you wanted to talk about?
No, I think that's all, Sean.
All right. Well, okay, because there's something I want to talk about then that I'm sure people are on the edge of their seats about. You made reference to it earlier that Monday night at the Ottawa Curling Club, earlier in the day Monday, there was an email that was sent out saying the rocks were touched up. Curious decision, I felt, with 2 weeks left in the season to touch up the rocks, but fine. They can do it. There's going to be a club championship. So maybe you do it, get a couple games win before, and then the Rocks hopefully are at peak position for the club championship. Now, club championship doesn't affect us at all, but the last draw of the season, the team that finishes first in each pool gets bar bucks. So I missed 2 games being gone. There was a bye in there as well. You guys had to go 1-1 in order to keep us eligible for bar bucks. Lost the first game, happens. And, I sent what I felt was a very motivational text into the group chat before Monday's game. And then yesterday, I thought, ooh, maybe the results are up. And I looked at the results, Scott. And what happened?
Sean, you weren't there. That's what happened. I'll admit that the rocks and the ice were really confusing. Like I said, I had 2 rocks with split times that were about the same. One went through, one didn't make the house. In the first end of a late night game, you've got to throw it hard. I thought I threw at least enough to throw a T-line and hogged it. So I don't know exactly what to say, what happened, but we didn't make as many shots as the other team. And a lot of times we were in really good positions, and then the skip made a shot that you're like, oh man. And
right.
All credit though, he called them. It wasn't these fluky ones where we were trying to do something and ended up doing something better. Everything was called. It just we weren't then able to make up for it. So
all right.
I thought we had a chance to score in the last end, but we missed the line a bit on a run back and weren't able to.
I'm sorry, did you not score at all?
No,
again?
we did not. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
I
thought they got blowed out, but I didn't realize you didn't score.
I think that's 3 or 4 games we've gotten shut out this year.
Yeah. So come on, so bar boxer is dream deferred for the season. I don't think there's a way that we can win it. And it's weird that I've missed 4 games since the restart in January, and all 4 of those games were losses, and or 3 games, or no, 4, excuse me. And if you didn't score in 2 of them, you got 1 point in another one. And I don't remember what it was the other one before, but I think you got blown out then too. I'm not, Scott. So I'm 7-1 when I've been skipping. Like the team, we're 7-1 when I've been skipping. Under 500 when I'm not there. I don't think you've won when I'm not there. Scott, I am not a player who's good enough to go from a 7/8 winning percentage, whatever that is, to a 0 winning percentage without me there. It is a very bizarre thing to me that and I'm sure just fluky, it's not a big enough sample size, but I was stunned when I saw it.
I'm not sure that it's a fluke, Sean. I think we need you there.
Well, we'll see. That's a lot of pressure now. Well, it's either more pressure now on Monday to win the last one, or no pressure at all because bar bucks aren't at stake.
Yeah, no pressure at all. But we are going to stay after the game, Sean, and have some beer because it's our last game of the year.
Yep, it is.
Finally, the game that you missed before, Sean, we ended up losing. We lost by 2, and that one went
points.
8, and it went 8 ends. So
yes,
we did. It was not a blowout.
All right, that's good.
But I threw lead again, and I don't know. I just swept all night. It was fun. But we'll stay and we'll drink and celebrate what could be the last game for our team as a team. We'll see.
We'll see what happens there for sure. And so I have 3 games left on the season, 2 on Thursdays. And that team lost when I was gone too. I don't know what's going on, but fluky season.
You're good, Sean.
But
you're good.
3 games left. It's weird, Scott. We talk about this, and we've actually gotten some feedback. People seem to enjoy a little bit of the banter about our teams. But if you look at some of the other podcasts out there, one of them which is extraordinarily popular, has somebody who has just won 2 provincial championships. And we're talking about we can't score in Monday D. Like, so a little different.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
congratulations,
Lori and
to
Mary
Lori.
are better than us at,
Yeah.
at lots of things. But
Yes,
for sure, curling.
Yeah, congratulations to Lori and her team, composed Scott McDonald. I assume Scott was skipping that team that just won the the Ontario mixed.
I think so, but I'm not sure.
So certainly congratulations to them on that. So I think that'll do it for this week. Thank you so much for listening, everybody. If you have not yet, please do subscribe to the show wherever you get your podcast. Do likes, ratings, comments, all that good stuff. Helps other people find the show, keeps us growing. And of course, you can head on over championship.and, where you can find all of our past episodes, plus the merch under the merch tab. The weather is warming up, so you might not need toques and hoodies, but they're still good products, and I like them, and I wear them all the time. So that's actually the only downside of spring and summer for me, is I don't get to wear those things as much, because it's not really necessary in that weather. True. But I have the t-shirts, and I like the t-shirts too. So you can check it out under the merch tab. All proceeds from the t-shirts go to Food Banks Canada. The rest of the stuff to the Sandra Schmirler Foundation. We, of course, match those as they come in. And as always, if you want to let us know what you want to hear on the show, gameofstonespodcast@gmail.com, or you can find us on social media at Game of Stones Pod on Twitter and Instagram. So that'll do it for this week. We'll be back next week with something to talk about. The mixed doubles will be going on. The seniors will be going on. Maybe we'll have some new team announcements. Our season will be done the next time we talk, Scott, and potentially, I guess, a discussion about the future of the team, which I didn't know what was going to happen. And I think there's going to be a discussion of the Thursday team too, because on email it was said, oh, we should talk about it in person, which was the response when I said, oh yeah, I'll play next year with everybody. And the response, so let's wait till we talk in person. I'm like, wait a minute, what?
We need to talk. We need to talk.
Yeah. Oh no, I've been reading this book, the John Feinstein book about life in the minor leagues, and all the players talk about when the major league manager wants to see you, it's never good. So the fact that we need to talk in person, I'm getting a little nervous about how that one's going to go.
Well, it'll be okay. But yes, we'll have something to talk about next week.
Yes, so join us then when we're back with you next week. But until then, keep those brooms on the ice and don't dump that intern.
Make the final.